Will all governments in the world soon buy Bitcoin? At least the countries allied with the USA or those with similar economies. Hey, and welcome. What a day it was yesterday, or rather, also on Sunday. Those were intense days, I really have to say. Let's take a look at yesterday. Then we see what crypto.com showed, namely to wait for Bitcoin, briefly enjoy the new all-time high, and continue to wait. And so it has actually only been like this in the last few days that it has risen extremely here. And as just on the 10th, that is on Sunday, and on the 11th, meaning yesterday, not only the bald head beginning, but many new Bitcoin all-time highs. If one had drawn a lot of lines here, there would have been many all-time highs here. Incredible. Yes, and the new all-time high is marked here. On TradingView here, on CoinEx below, and you see it here, 89, $89,993, under 90,000 US dollars. Yes, one would have liked to see that yesterday, but unfortunately, it was not the case. Yes, and since the announcement that Donald Trump has been re-elected, meaning that he will be US president in 2025 on the 20th. January is when it will happen. Since then, we have a new registration, a registration channel that has opened here, or rather, I opened it here, and we can clearly see that since then we see a nice channel upwards. One must really say that, and what is the reason for this, or what does Donald Trump's re-election have to do with it? And indeed, for the first time, Bitcoin reached a value of $88,000. According to market experts, this is related to the Republican Trump's victory in the US presidential election. He has promised a favorable policy regarding cryptocurrencies, with low regulation and a strategic Bitcoin reserve for the USA. Following Donald Trump's election victory, the major US stock indices S&P 500, Nasdaq, and Dow Jones also closed at these record levels. So that means, and by the way, this is a message from Deutschlandfunk, so here's a completely different perspective from someone who is not involved in the crypto cosmos, meaning not a crypto medium. And we see that this election and this promise, or rather this declaration regarding the inclusion of Bitcoin in the US reserves, has definitely led to the likelihood that we will soon see Bitcoin in the US state reserves. We will delve further into this shortly. In any case, this prospect caused everything to shoot up. At the same time, regulation for crypto is somewhat looser, and we have already seen the first papers or advertisements on websites that have somewhat pulled back. So in the USA, a lot has changed with Donald Trump's election victory. At the same time, we know that we have the Bitcoin ETF, and this Bitcoin ETF saw over $1 billion flow in on November 7th after Donald Trump's election victory, and again on November 11th. Just think about that. On November 7th, it was $374 million. And yesterday, on November 11th, it was 114 million US dollars. That is definitely a statement, or rather an impressive number. This must be noted at this point. And this has, of course, caused the Bitcoin price to shoot up. What was interesting, however, was that we did not see an ETF on Sunday. This means the ETF was closed. This means we saw the power of retailers on Sunday. That is, people like you and me who said, we are investing in Bitcoin now because now is the right time and we can still take profits. And that is exactly what we saw on Sunday. So, exciting times lie ahead. And something very, very interesting as I see it is this statement from Bitcoin Archive. This is relatively fresh news. Specifically here, US Senator Loomis said we can pass the Bitcoin law in the first 100 days of the Trump administration. The Bitcoin law allows the US government to purchase 1 million Bitcoin over a period of 5 years. No, not $1 million in Bitcoin, but 1 million Bitcoin. That's a whole lot. At the current time, that would be 86, or rounded up, let's say $87,000. Dollars times 1 million Bitcoin that the USA would acquire here within 5 years could invest in Bitcoin, or rather, once the law is passed, so that they can continuously buy more within 5 years and then hold 1 million Bitcoin. That's quite a bold statement. 1 million Bitcoin, I actually only know one person who holds that much, and that's Satoshi Nakamoto. So that would be really crazy at this point. I'm very curious because we are basically at the point where we say, yes, he has announced it. Yes, he stands for a relaxed crypto regulation. Yes, he also has an NFT project. He also has his own token and so on. That means he is therefore pro crypto. And yes, he is also pro alternative investments. And something else that could also benefit here is the crypto stock. And the crypto stock is Coinex. And even Coinex was able to rise to over after Donald Trump's re-election, or rather after Donald Trump's election victory, if we take the peak here. 72%, and that for a stock, that's quite a statement, I must say. At the same time, MicroStrategy was able to gain here, as well as Tesla, because Elon Musk will receive a position in the Trump administration, or rather in the newly formed government of Donald Trump. This whole thing is very, very exciting. And now we come to the question, could other governments around the world also buy Bitcoin? If you want to invest in cryptocurrencies, then take a look at the exchange Coinex. With Coinex, you can easily buy cryptocurrencies via spot trading, but also swap one of over 1,000 listed cryptocurrencies for another with a swap function. You can also see which trading pairs are currently very popular, and you can of course buy cryptocurrencies normally via spot and the trading here via limit, market price, stop limit, and stop market price. At the same time, you can also engage in futures trading, meaning you can set long and short positions and do copy trading here. At the same time, there are exclusive promotions and an additional 100 USDT bonus exclusively for new users. You can easily exchange your euros, dollars, or whatever you have here for cryptocurrencies, for example, USDT, UTC, BTC, and also ETH. Everything is available here. And at the same time, there is also a way back if you can withdraw to your bank account. This can be done via Visa, MasterCard, and Apple Pay. Bank transfer, SEPA. So you see here, there are many options, and that's why it is worth using Coinex. At the same time, you get cash back with the link in the pinned comment or in the video description, and you can invest in cryptocurrencies here and take profits. So take a look at Coinex. For many experts out there, it only makes sense that if the USA really invests in Bitcoin, then other governments, especially those with similar economies to the USA, will likely engage with the topic in Europe. What is Bitcoin? What are the advantages? And why should we invest in Bitcoin? A country that hasn't really shown so far is Germany. And Germany already had some Bitcoin, specifically over 50,000 Bitcoin. They sold these because they said, no, we are selling now. The price at that time was 54,000 US dollars. And on November 8th, I had already posted that it was now 1.1 billion US dollars in missed profits if they had sold now. That was, as mentioned, on November 8th. In the meantime, we have seen that the price has continued to rise. So they could definitely have taken further profits with Bitcoin by holding on to it. But I also spoke with an expert about it, or rather, I talked to Albert and asked what actually happened here. Why did they sell? And in a very exciting talk, or rather in a great video, we discussed why Germany sold at all. And I can break it down for you briefly, but we discussed in more detail in this talk video, which I would like to link for you above. Namely, that the government probably had to sell due to certain regulations. So, yes, they probably had to sell. They couldn't hold on any longer because there was a certain deadline on this Bitcoin. But in hindsight, if they had held, it would now be over 1 billion euros that they missed out on. Yes, very frustrating, especially in times when there is a lot of conflict in the German government regarding money. Here, 1 billion euros slipped through their fingers, or rather, the German government did not take it at this point. Now it remains exciting, that must be emphasized, in this thrilling time where Bitcoin is rising, where a Trump comes to power who might also end wars, at least he says so himself. What will really happen in the end, and whether Bitcoin will actually be included in the US state reserves, only the future can show us. So, an exciting year 2025 lies ahead of us, and I am very curious about what will happen. We have seen that the re-election of Donald Trump has definitely triggered drastic price jumps here. And we also just saw on Sunday that the retailers are still present and can also move the price upwards. At the same time, we saw that with the Bitcoin ETFs, a lot of capital came in on Monday. And we even saw that a lot of new USDT was printed and pumped into the market. This can be further observed, and I assume that this was just the first wave, now a small correction. And then it continues. Feel free to share your opinion on this in the comments. Please write down what you think about this whole topic. I thank you very much for watching and see you in the next video.